Thank you, Matt. This meeting is being recorded, if you didn't hear that. Can you hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. Hopefully the people online got the agenda. Did they or did they not?
It was emailed, but it was emailed very recently,
So check your emails.
check real quick.
Okay, if not, I'm still gonna go over it, and if you need a copy of it later, we can send it to you. All right. One of the things that was brought up, and again, the stuff on the agenda is not in order of importance, it's what came out of my brain. Was one about renting to self-directed IRAs, or if you have a client, an owner, it's more about the owner. If the owner is owns the property in a self-directed IRA company, so that right, you have to make sure that the rent is being paid to that company. It cannot go to the owner directly. Okay. Now, if the owner tells you to do, you do what the owner tells you to do, but I want you to annotate in the file, the owner directed you to send the money to another account, because it's not our problem. But if your owner is not a well-trained, self-directed IRA client, he or she may not understand that they cannot have the money go into their personal account. They can't use the money personally. It has to go into their company's account that's in the name of the self-directed IRA.
Because otherwise it's a distribution for the IRA.
Thank you, Ben. Old people know how to do it. So, but I had this brought up, that was mentioned that when it was brought up, that client was doing it correctly. But when the person had said something, it triggered because the way they said it, that I didn't think it was going into the self-directed IRA's account. So I wanted to make sure we need to watch out for our owners, because self-directed IRAs are getting very popular now to own rental properties in. And it's a great way, it's a wonderful vehicle. We'll have a class later if you guys are interested in learning about how to approach owners to buy properties in their self-directed IRAs. But that's not what this is about. This right now is just about to make sure that it's done correctly. So if you have any clients that said to you, I bought this property with my IRA, I didn't even say self-directed. It has to be self-directed to be able to buy it, but just saying, that might be a trigger word for you to ask more questions and tell them to speak to their CPA, because you're not an accountant, you're not a CPA, and you're not an attorney. But you are a licensed property manager, and you should be aware of this so that your clients won't make a stupid error. Okay? Utilizing your proper name. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll talk about it. A lot of times you can't hear. Self-directed IRAs. No, I did that right. Sorry. See what you did? You got me all.
I'm sorry,
We'll be late.
I just wanted to make sure.
No, I shouldn't yell.
It's okay.
It's like when you're on your cell phone, you yell at it, you don't have to.
Well, it's because we use some Polish when we're in the office.
Thank you.
I'll move this.
And
closer.
Deirdre said that, not me. So anybody that's Polish that wants to put a complaint against, it's against Deirdre.
Yes.
Okay, I'll file that complaint later.
Thank you.
You're not Polish.
I am.
I'm a quarter Polish.
Russian, Polish, and Lithuanian on one side and.
Okay, utilizing your proper name, license name on duties owed in rental agreements. You can't use your nickname. Oh, I'm sorry.
Amelia,
You know-
do I sit down here?
Yeah. Really. She likes to go sit in the other room. You might still hear me. You can't, you have to use your, the name that's the way it's presented on your license.
So can we do James JJ Gray?
Is that on his
If
license?
it's on, well, he hasn't changed it officially on his license
It
yet.
says James Gray on the
Right.
side.
That's what he has.
So whatever it says on the license is who we have to pay and what legal signature has to be on the documents. So if your license says,
Huntley, I know you're gonna go.
well, I was going to say Harry, but I don't want to, I mean, Harry at one point had his nickname in there, and then at one point he had to take it out and he put it back in. So whatever it says on your license has to, at least that's what my understanding is, that they have to match. The duties owed is based on your license. Your license says whatever although this did come up. So Michael's license says Michael Henry Ring, but he can use Michael H. Ring. So this came up with one of our other agents the other day, where she has 3 names. You don't have to use your middle name, Lorraine, this also would be for you. If you have initials, you can use the initials, but you have to have the components of your name. So it can be your Chinese name, your nickname initial, and your last name, as long as it has the components of what's on your license.
But
So
because my license is Michael Henry, I can't do Michael Ring. I have to do Michael
you can
H.
do
Ring
Michael H. Ring,
or Michael Henry.
right?
Lately, I used to write Michael Henry, so don't know why, got old. So does everybody understand that? Anybody?
Question.
Go ahead.
So on a duty zone for me, obviously my name is my name, but when it says who's your broker, I have to put Michael H. Ring.
Right,
Okay, well, none of mine do that.
yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
do now. Did I just
Now-
sound like you? I just sounded like you.
Oh my
I
God.
do now.
Well, they.
So, yeah, from this day forward, so if you have me sign off on it, it's Armina S. Hanson. If you have Michael sign off on it, it's Michael H. Ring. We just don't want any reason for the division to look and say, oh.
Okay,
So what you're trying to tell us is they're after you and looking. So we need
Yeah.
to be super
No,
careful.
I mean,
this actually, there were white papers on this.
they're
so we are
after
actually looking.
everybody.
Yeah.
They're after everybody, because for 2 years, they were
Able not to do anything.
didn't do much of anything, and so now everything is catching up and they have too much time on their hands.
You think they'd get out and sell some real estate?
Yeah.
They're not licensed, so that's a conflict.
Well, that's the, yeah, but that's the point, so they're the ones looking for us.
Yes. All money with regards to rental, rent needs to be distributed or disputed by the, okay. That's not how I wrote it, that's not.
All money with regard, like, because you said in regards to
Yes,
a rental needs to be dispersed or distributed by the 30th day.
so what I was trying, they took from my notes when I was in the class this morning to do up this agenda, so. What they're trying to say is, any rent, any security deposit needs to be distributed within 30 days, so when rent comes in, you have to pay your owner within 30 days, right, Deirdre?
Yeah, unless your contract says otherwise.
Unless your contract says otherwise, but normally it's 30 days, or if you're in written direction by the owner to hold the
Yeah,
payment.
my contract say 15 days after receipt.
Right. But the norm is 30 days, your contract.
Security deposits are locked into that. must
30
be
days.
within 30 days.
Okay. This doesn't mean 30 days after you decided you wanted to take care of the transmittal summary or do the paperwork or type things like this. If your owner directed you, say an owner called up and says, don't pay me yet because I'm changing bank accounts and all this, I have to have it in writing. Okay, because the owner can direct you to do things other than what the statute says to do. But it has to be in writing.
Yes.
And date it, please. So that's pretty much everything. I know you all know this, but it's been brought to my attention on a couple of things with security deposits. A property is sold that you're managing, you weren't aware of it, or you found out the last minute or whatever. You need to do the handle the security deposit within 30 days. You also have to inform the tenant where their money is. Yes, the new property manager is supposed to do the same thing, but they don't always do that. They have to cover our butts. Where like you transfer the money to the new property manager,
Yeah,
you have to inform the tenant where their money is.
yes.
And also the new property manager is supposed to inform the tenant where their money is.
You should, as soon as you know you've been fired, you should report the tenant.
In writing. Okay. No, I totally agree. By the way, like I said, if most of you do know who Deirdre is, just in case you missed it. Deirdre was a past broker, and is an expert in property management as well as I am. So, and we have different opinions on things and we'd love to discuss it.
Yes, but not in front of everybody.
Yeah, awesome.
Moving on.
Yes, all owner payments must, okay, so. All right, we're talking about when you want to pay your owners. So please pay attention. I know the ones that are on mute with your no picture, please wake up and listen to this, because I will also put this out in writing to you all. If you want your owner paid the next day, I need to have it in by noon the day before. Lori needs to review it. She'll send it back for you saying yes or no, or whatever changes need to be done. And you need to send it back to her saying you agree with it. In writing, a no, email, I don't care as long as it's in writing that you're saying for her to release the payment. She will come to me, I will rebound and balance, make sure everything's all right, and then I release the payment. Okay, if you, and then, so you send it into noon to her, that doesn't mean it's done. It comes back to you. You have to review it, as long as you have it back to her by 2 o'clock, 2 hours, enough time to have lunch in between, all that other stuff, then she'll have it to me by bar 3 o'clock, and that's when I release to the bank. All right, if you do it after 3, it'll be not the next day, but the day after. And be careful, they don't do releases on Saturday and Sunday or holidays. So Thanksgiving weekend, if you do it on, if you both agree and I'm gonna release it on Wednesday, they're not gonna get paid till the following Monday. All right, we will send you out a calendar so you can look at when, if you release, when the payment would be received by the owner, cover all.
That'll be covered in the email when I send it.
Used to be 4 p.m. was City National, it's now 3
I
p.m.
did 3 p.m. because of me,
Oh,
because
okay.
I like to go.
And also you have time to.
Yes,
Okay, never mind.
thank you. And by the way, there's this spot, I saw him something.
It used to be 4.
Yeah, they changed it back to 5.
Okay,
Pacific Standard.
yep,
So does anybody have any questions about that? Basically, what Michael's looking for is an approval from you guys in writing after Lori sends you the information.
after you send it to her, she reviews it, sends it back, there's an agreement upon it. You send it, this is so you can't say, oh, Lori didn't do this, or Lori didn't do that, or I thought Lori understood this. Lori is not a property manager. She's
Get
not a
it in writing.
CPA. Yes. Lori is not a property manager, and Lori is not a CPA. Not Lori, one of those things.
Mhm.
And it's not her job to do that, to do your math and to do your balancing. Okay, I hear every month about Deirdre all upset when she's trying to balance herself, so.
Well, I balance every month.
You
Well, but here's, I mean, forgive me, Michael,
Yes.
for saying this out loud, but if it comes down to the fact that everyone else is gonna have to do a property manager's job, it's going to affect your split. So if it's gonna affect your bottom line, let's just make sure that everybody gets what they need on time and no one has to worry about that.
And I'm not even worried about that. I just don't want to hear from you saying, oh, well, Lori should have known this, or Lori should have known that.
But see, all
And
that-
Lori is not, she doesn't do that. You're the one that's in the field, working with the clients, working with the owner. There's a lot of times Lori comes to me and says, well, they shouldn't be doing this, or they shouldn't be doing that. I said, no, they're right. They're doing it right, Lori. That's not your job. Your job is to just process and do what I ask you to do. And that's not a thing against her. She tends to try to help you out and do things for you and be nice. And I beat her up all the time about it. Okay?
So what happens is, Laurie sends out a statement of the money she's gonna disperse from each account,
Right.
right? And that's by 1 p.m. on the day of any given day.
Noon. By
Or by
noon.
noon, she'll send you out a sheet of paper
Well,
that
no,
says,
you send it to her.
or you send her
'Cause you're
a
different.
sheet of paper. Yeah, because I do my own.
Right. They don't.
Okay, so you send a piece of paper to Laurie that says, I want these funds dispersed by noon.
Just by noon, you have to have it to her.
Yeah, by noon, you get her this piece of paper
Correct.
that says, I want the funds for these
Correct.
properties dispersed.
She'll turn around and send it back to them.
She will put it into the system and turn around and send it back to you.
Send it all
That
back.
says it all balances and you give a final approval. If something
Yeah.
doesn't balance, she goes, oh, no, there, this didn't balance.
Right. which happens.
Okay, so she'll do that by before 1 p.m. for you to review, and you need to get it back to her by 1 p.m.
No. You're close,
By 2.
by 2,
Oh, by 2.
and they have to have it back to her by 3, because that's when I'll do the release, because everything is set up to go.
Oh, okay.
It takes me 2
So
seconds.
you send
do
it to
a
her by noon. She gets it to you by 1.
Right.
You get it back to her by 2 that says, yes, this is right, and we straightened out that one that was mixed
Yeah.
up. And this is the correct amount.
Yep.
And you get all that balance, and then she enters it into the banking system for the ACH,
Right.
which then comes to you for approval.
Right.
And then you review what she sends you, do a final review on it, and then you get go.
Right.
And everybody that works for me understood that once you get go, it's really hard to get it back.
Extremely. Okay,
Well, one of my clients said, why don't you debit my account? Why don't you debit my account? And I said, because my new broker won't let me do that.
Right. You don't take, you aren't an Indian, give it, don't take it and give it away.
Well, I did when I had my own.
All right, let's talk about premium leads. So if anybody out in there is using premium leads through Appfolio, it's not a problem. Okay, you just have to pay for it. And unfortunately, Appfolio, if you have a credit and a debit, it doesn't wipe it out within the same month. So you're gonna get charged for the month you do use the premium leads, no problem. And you'll get credit if you didn't use them or whatever, they didn't get a refund or whatever it is on the following month.
Right, when I pull the polio bill every month, it'll tell me whether there's a debit or a credit in premium leads, and then I run a report, and it's always the previous month.
Right.
So they reconcile the month after the
Yeah,
event.
What are premium leads and how do they work in Appfolio?
You don't need to know that, thank you, Ray. Premium leads, Appfolio, do you want to take this now or you want me to?
I have no idea what they are.
Oh, okay. Premium leads is
Lorraine is the
a
only one
feature.
who uses them.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Premium leads is a feature that Appfolio has where people are looking to, rent your property. They do matchups and all that stuff. It's kind of like,
It's a
Zillow, rental pads.
What do they charge
Right
for
thing.
premium leads?
$10 per
For
$10
lead
per
or-
lead?
Because
For a rental.
for a
Zillow
rental.
charges $29.99 for,
That's for sale,
no,
for rental.
for the whole time, for as many leads as you get.
Per month.
No, it's just $29.99 period,
Yeah. For one time, a year. One month.
until you tell them it's sold.
But that's fine, it's a feature you use, Zillow has not affected me yet, because you do it with your own, thing, mine is because you're doing it through the system,
Right,
and you get the lead through the system. Like it was said, I think Lorraine's the only one that uses it, what do you think of it, Lorraine?
No, I
Marie-
understand. It's just that your sound is in and out. I'm not confused. I got it.
No, I didn't ask you again, I said, what was your opinion of the system, you use it?
Oh,
Um,
the premium leads,
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's
Really?
all like really bad leads. It's people who click on your listing and they'll say, oh, like I have a listing, it's 5-bedroom. And they're like, oh, I just want 1 bedroom. Or, oh, I thought it was a 2-bedroom, and then I had to submit for a refund because I'm like, it's a wrong property.
well,
But
just to let
I
you know,
stopped.
yeah, just to let you know, Zillow 29, or for $30, it's lifetime, it sounds like.
Yeah, as long as you have a listing,
Yeah. Oh, for a listing, that's how they attack
per
it.
listing. You have to enter in for a premium, listing.
For the-
So, $29.99.
Zillow, I think
Go ahead.
Zillow is $30 for 3 months. I
Oh, it
do
might-
that also, but Appfolio they used to be pretty good and they give pretty good leads, but lately, I don't know what's going on. It's not even coming in correctly.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for that.
You're
Next,
welcome.
next is owner statements. I hope you all understand, and I'm gonna get hit by Deirdre for even saying this. But it's required monthly to have your owner statements go to your owners. So please make sure you're doing your owner statements. Now, you have it set up in the portal for the owners to get the statements through Appfolio, which is totally fine, as long as the owner is accessing the portal. If they've never accessed the portal, that's not the answer to the division saying it's sitting there in the portal, because we have a lot of times when we first get
Well,
a
I
new
told
owner,
Jessica not to bother to send me, statements.
that in writing.
You got it in writing from me, didn't you, Jess?
Yeah, don't listen to her, Jen. If the owner tells you to do it, that is fine, you're covered because you have it in the file.
She keeps sending them to me,
Well,
but
she's a good girl, she's a good person.
but you can put in a comment in notes saying owner does not want.
No, they'll want to see it.
I-
because it-
Do it
Right.
because how I'm trained by her, so.
And I love the harassment. You get my blessing every time you harass. But what Deirdre's saying is correct. If the owner says, I don't want a statement every month, you don't have to give it to them. It has to be in writing and put in the file.
Right,
So you can prove to the real estate division that Ms. Fowler does not want her statements because she trusts Jessica so much. or the fact that she does her own paperwork and checks
If
everything.
she
so
spent my
she-
money, I'd be okay.
You heard that, I back it,
She knows that.
but,
Marissa too.
well, yeah.
Camille too, just spend away. Have fun, you guys.
Because it could be that access, but okay. But back to what I'm saying, if you need to send your owners a statement, if you don't have it set up on the automatic portal to be done, where they have access and you can see on the, through the portal, you can see if they access the portal.
Right, but
They
it's
don't have to
not,
access it every month, you just have to access.
but
it,
it's not
say.
calculated,
Send them monthly statements.
True.
but it's not posted to the portal unless you
Oh,
tell it to.
if you do your own statements, if you can't see where I'm pointing to, it's Deirdre. They need to be uploaded in Appfolio. Okay, under notes or whatever.
Notes, yes.
Right, so that I can prove to the.
On the
division
owner
that you're
page.
sending it. Now, Deirdre doesn't have to do that, because she's here in the office, she has it in her paper file, which is totally fine, but you guys are not in the office, except for Harry. So you need to have it, where it's accessible by me. If the real estate division walks in and Deirdre's taking a cruise playing pinochle or whatever she plays.
Right.
Bridge. I can get access to prove to the division that the file exists.
Everybody that worked for me has my password.
Even people that don't work for you.
Have my
anymore.
password.
Yeah.
What
Okay,
day of the
that-
month would you recommend doing that? After the 15th, 18th?
Well, why would you, after you've done the owner payments, because
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm through paying the bills, I send.
it doesn't matter if new bills come in afterwards, that goes on next month's statement, because that's when you do distribution.
Oh, yeah, you'll confuse the hell out of me, and put next month's bills on this month's statement.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, so before, like the 10th would be better then.
okay. Also, Lori, I'm gonna throw you under the bus here, and
Okay.
you're used to it.
Mhm.
It was brought to my attention, was asked to me, if I wanted my owners paid earlier, what would I have to do? And I explained to them that they have to make sure that all the rents are in,
Right,
that are gonna be in, and that they've cleared. So, in my old portfolio, which I don't have anymore, I think I might have properties, but I'm not sure.
yeah,
My lease says from the 1st to the 5th. Then late fees apply afterwards.
right,
Okay?
correct, that is correct.
And then they have to use certified funds, and that's why I don't have to worry about, checks clearing and things like that. Even though I've seen certified funds checks bounce.
But a lot of the times they still pay through the portal because the property manager has allowed it.
But then you shouldn't, after the date of whatever your lease says, it has to be what your lease says, not because you feel like changing it right now. For instance, I think Harry's is 1st through the 3rd. And I think that's what the law is, you have to give 3 to 3rd. So on the 4th, Harry can shut off all the online payment by portal. And it has to be certified funds to come in to the office. So he can, after 5 days after, or 7 days after that, I want to make sure I did that right, where it comes up to the 10th.
Right,
We can process to pay the owner,
yes.
okay? Because that 7 days is if any of those payments that were made before have bounced back.
The
Okay.
only negative I could come up with, by the way.
Yeah.
For that situation would be in the case where we don't have all the bills yet. For example, the Republic services and the sewer bills sometimes don't come in until just about the 9th or 10th.
Wait till the next month.
Well, if you did not,
What I
then
do
charge
is
late.
I'm always logged on to the treasurer, Republic Services, Water Reclamation, Sewer, and I am logged on to them the whole time I'm paying bills, and if I don't have a bill, I just log on to their account and I print that statement from and then I pay
From
it
the online.
from the online.
So can you do that?
I would have to set it up for each property.
Yeah.
And make sure that,
Oh, if you have the account number, if you have the information that you need to get there, it's all you need, like each one's different, but.
right,
That's what she's saying, you'd have to have all those logins put in.
No, you don't have to have logins, it's all you have to know is the address of the property and the account number in most cases. Or the name of the owner. and then-
The property manager can do that too, though. If they have the login, they can go and take a screenshot and upload it for Lori to pay. She shouldn't have to
Yes.
do it.
I agree.
Yes, and they should probably, because that's
That's
what I
what
do.
when I don't get the bill, I go onto the portal. I see that on Republic Services it's due. I screenshot it and that's what I upload.
Exactly. And that's what I print and pay from.
Yep.
So again, I agree, Lori shouldn't be doing it, okay? Lori usually does it because the bills come in here to us.
Right.
physically. But you can do just like what Jessica, did I get it right, Jessica? Yes. Jessica said that you can go online, pull up the account and do a screenshot of the bill. And
And I know Marissa too, she all the time, she's always looking.
Yeah, because I trained them to do it that way.
see, my people had it easy. She makes her people work, which is good. So.
And
if
then,
you want your,
and
if
then
you
just-
want your owners to be paid earlier, then you need to get the information done earlier.
and then just so you guys know, on the Appfolio page here, if you want to turn off, online payments here under go under the tenant, under status, you can click edit and then turn on any of these ones. Certified
Right,
funds.
certified.
Portfolio, some things you have to turn them on in both the property and the tenant. And you have to turn them off in both the property and the tenant. Which I think is onerous and overly burdensome.
You can tell that Deirdre loves Appfolio. It's her favorite program.
I think it's only the tenant.
I do agree with that. I think it's.
Well, if you
Maybe
don't,
change it.
I had some where I did it on the tenants, but I didn't do it on the property and it didn't charge them a late charge.
But we weren't talking about late charge. We were talking about stopping the tenant from making it. So you have to have it first.
I let them pay right till the end of the month by Appfolio, so long as I haven't served them. Once I've served them, that's all over.
Yeah, I don't do it after. 3
Once the
days.
eviction started, I
That's
when I
almost
stopped.
not right. Because again, after that, in 7
But
days.
you
before we have to
require
charge
certified funds.
them. Right, I require certified funds.
Okay, but does
That's up to you,
everybody
okay.
that works for you have to do that?
No. You run your own thing. you
Well, I
don't
know,
have to-
but not everybody runs their own thing.
Pretty much they do, not maybe to your level, because of different level, weird thing, but overall, they run their own.
Well, I looked you guys into shape,
Okay, why do I have down applications and somehow?
right, Andrew?
Oh,
Does
Somebody's
anybody
looking
have,
at
you
it.
remember what we were talking about? I wrote down applications, I wrote that on my notes here. It might be in regards to number 8, that could have been a carryover on number 8.
okay.
Okay, so application fees, holding fees, second holding fees, and I'll explain what a second holding fee is coming up in a moment because it's a workaround. Can be, if they want to sell it, that is not a problem. What they cannot sell to me is rent or security. All right, that's,
Right.
because you can't take those into your general account, it's directly into rental trust and security trust, and will not give those account numbers out.
It would be considered commingling because it's going to him personally.
Okay,
But the
So,
fees,
now, I want to open this up, do you think that I need to set up a separate, another trust account? If it's a trust account, I can sell into. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Should I set up a separate Zelle account or, and call it trust account?
Well, you can call it holding account,
Okay,
holding, trust holding.
trust hold, okay, go with that, that works.
as long as it has the word trust.
Yeah,
Well,
trust
it's all-
holding, and then anything from Zelle goes in there, and then you can get rid of your own Zelle and just do it as a,
Well, I can change to that Zelle.
yeah.
But
well,
I need to have 2 Zelle because I pay certain bills through Zelle.
Right.
Well, and you can also have it come into the security deposit account, because the security deposit account is tenant money. And,
But it's not, I don't want to give out that account.
oh,
Because
then I would set up a,
I've been robbed before, and then
yeah,
the person doesn't, it's not, that's what we call.
but if you have a holding trust, it can get robbed too if everybody.
You have.
Right. But the holding account, if I comes in there, she moves it within hours of when it hits.
Okay.
I'm not worried about that. I don't use it. I don't leave the money there. My
Right.
security trust account, I leave all the money
There's
there.
another thing you can do with City National that you might want to check with them about. On any account, you can set it up so that anytime there's an ACH going out of that account, you have to approve it.
True, but I still just don't, I figured if I can do the.
Well,
account,
and
it's
the
not that hard to
other
balance.
thing that is important to note is when people sell to Michael Ring,
Yes,
now they're cracking down on how the amounts and the attention, and it's not your income.
Well, and it
It's
could
coming to
easily
you.
show as personal income that you have to pay taxes on.
Right, exactly.
So I would set it up as a holding, trust holding or whatever.
Now, they haven't developed Zell for business yet.
but if I still have it as another Michael Wing account that's not called Michael Wing, it is holding, trust
Trust holding,
holding, whatever we call
yeah. Zell Trust
it. Hard to-
Holding,
that- That's okay.
we can call it Zell Trust Holding account.
Whatever.
But I think when you have somebody sending money into you in Zelle,
Mhm.
it either goes by your cell phone number or by your email address. So
Right.
you would have to have a separate cell phone number.
You can set up through
Okay,
GRE.
When you have it, yeah.
A holding trust email, yeah.
I have a lot of Zelle accounts for different businesses.
How would, sorry,
Go ahead.
question.
Yeah.
How would partial payments work with Zelle? Like if you don't allow partial payments and a tenant sends in the partial payment, it would be, how would that work?
Doesn't count, just like if you did, if you allowed partial, didn't allow partial payment, but you forgot to turn off the link. You know, in
The
the
portal.
portfolio and that type of thing. It's coming through a third party, so you can still reject it and send it back.
Well, and the other thing
It's
is,
if they walk in the
But do
office
they
and
consider the broker as a third party?
yes,
Okay, and then
no, I don't.
the other
But-
thing is on that folio, you can make it say no partial payment.
I know, but
accepted.
sometimes they miss it or whatever, they're sleeping.
but
or-
they can only sell your account with permission from a property manager or somebody, you know, they can't, it's like, it's not an automatic thing that they can
Do you know
do.
how
Yes, it is.
incredibly stupid people are?
No, it is.
But once they
I-
have
I've
the
had it- I
information
have
once.
One of my
Yeah.
tenants that sends the rent all the time to Zelle because they
Some-
did it once.
Because somebody gave them that
Right,
information.
once.
And they could do it.
That's what I
But
mean, they're
once-
incredibly stupid.
When they told them once, I mean, nothing stopped them from doing it again.
Every month I get somebody log on to HomeLasVegasND.com and make an application to rent some property that I've never heard of. They pay $25 or $150 and I can't even send their money back.
Okay, screw this with raising my hand on Zoom. I'm just gonna talk.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, how does it work with Appfolio with first rents, with security deposit? Because I know early on I had somebody out of Philadelphia who'd flown in, looked at properties, did everything from Philadelphia. And I think it created a problem with the account with Lori. So can we review if you can accept security deposit through Appfolio or no?
Through the portal? Well, the thing is, we can accept it through the tenant portal,
Right.
but then I move it
But it's
automatically.
not certified funds.
No,
But if
And
it's more than 2 weeks before they're coming here to pick up
They can
keys,
wire transfer it in.
A security deposit has to be certified funds.
They can wire transfer.
Why
it
can't they
in.
just do an online payment and wait for the funds to clear? They're not moving in for
Because
2
then you're
weeks.
holding the property for how many days unrented while you're waiting for the whole, it's
2
just
weeks
illogical.
And what happens at the end if you get kicked back?
Yeah, then you got no renter.
Right. And
Might as well
you
grab your ankles on that one, girl.
so do we have the
Remove
wire
all Molly's
transfer?
ankles.
No, that's fine with me, but I mean, I was never aware of where the wire transfer information would be, where that resides for us to.
Well,
give
we
that.
have-
Lori does have the wire transfer for doing a ACH into the trust account.
Okay, so from now on, when we have an out-of-state tenant that wants to do this and put the hold fee or security deposit down, we should be doing that, and that we get from Lori.
Or
Why are you smiling?
you go old school and
They
you say
FedEx.
overnight it and cashier's check,
Overnight, what's
and
that?
there it's done.
Well, talk to Deirdre about what happened with money orders on ours once. The one time I went before the division.
Well, no, I will tell you what happened with money orders.
We've had them
They were
washed
shoving them
before.
through the door. We had one idiot, and he was an Israeli, who shoved $1,350 through the door in cash in a brown paper bag, and I was supposed to know it was his rent. Nothing written on the brown paper.
I
bag.
know, you are gonna ask that.
No, nothing written on the brown paper bag. But one time, and this happened when Marissa was new with me, they were shoving money through the door, and somebody came with something with a hook, a sharp,
And took them.
and took the money orders.
Yeah.
And then her client was so stupid that even when we told them that they needed to put a stop payment on the money orders, they refused to do it. They wanted us to do it. We said,
No,
well, we
no,
can't, we're not
Western,
ready.
they don't, there's no such thing as a stop payment with Western Union.
Well, you can.
You can.
Not
Yeah.
according to Western Union, and it was a whole.
My
complaint
office
with the police
had told
department.
you the truth.
You can also get a cashier's check and overnight it, and it's certified funds.
But I think in some cases, like, at least some of the people that I'm dealing with, like a cashier's check is like old school. Wiring the money from the account, the money that they have in their account to another account where the money shows up the next day. I mean, granted, I know through the bank that there's a time where, I don't know, that might
That's
bounce,
a pass
but
through the Fed.
But wire
Yeah.
No,
fraud,
you're wired.
wire fraud is real.
Yeah.
And, you know, and overnight is overnight. Nothing is perfect.
Everything, I should say everything that, but just to answer your question, Karen. If it is a ACH wire transfer, it doesn't bounce, it doesn't, whatever. Now.
because
Technically,
ACH
technically within
doesn't.
an hour after it hits us,
Mhm.
if there was a problem, they could pull it back. Okay, but very, 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 very rare does that happen.
Cause I know you can't make an ACH payment unless you have the money in your
Right,
account to
that's
send it over,
right.
so.
Sometimes they send it to the wrong account because they change the numbers backwards or
Yeah.
whatever. And that's all the drama that goes in. But to answer the question back to it, and all of you are right, and all of you are, well, I think, with the money orders and all that stuff. Had it happen, my company before me, I had a tenant because they didn't want to pay rent, put a fire bomb in the rental box. We had where you drop your rent off night deposit. And they put a lit paper in there to burn everybody else's rent, so you wouldn't have to pay rent, because they said the rent was in there. And they still had to pay rent, because again, there was no proof the checks were ever cashed, the money orders weren't cashed, whatever. No one got away with free rent with what they did, and it just
They
made a
just
total
didn't
mess of
pay
it.
a late charge.
Right, exactly, you could charge late charge. And what we ended up doing was removing that privilege, because people were being so stupid. If they shove the money under my door, it's their risk, okay? We're open, it says in our lease, but we're open, you have to come in person and pay the rent. You don't shove it under any door, slide it in any door. The bag full of money would have been a nice bonus check for me, because I would have said, you're that stupid, I ain't climbing.
And I seen,
No, Your Honor, there was no brown bag when I came in, that's because one of my other people got in before me.
now there was an instance of the management company I worked before this, where we had a drop box for overnight. And somebody actually reached in and stole the drop
Well,
box.
that's what happened to me with Marissa's money,
Yeah.
Marissa's client's
They
money.
used a knife and pulled it back out, you said, right? Or-
Yeah, they used a poker with a sharp end.
That's why I have videos, so I can watch you do it, so when I say, you did
Well, I
it.
had video, I mean, I had somebody break into my office and steal a bunch of stuff. Andrew, you were there, and we had, the guy was looking straight at the camera, we had his picture and nothing happened, we gave that to the police.
Yeah, they had video of the people cashing the money order, having scratched out us and putting their own names in it at 2 individual banks. And
Yeah,
they still didn't go after these people.
all right, is there anything else? Because I don't want to keep people any longer. Next month,
That's a good
I'd like
question.
input from you all about what we want to talk about. Okay, so that we cover relative things that are going on that, everybody can benefit from.
So if everyone can come up with one thing that you would like to
Well, I
discuss
can tell you
or
what I want to
have
discuss.
questions
I want to
or,
discuss rehabbing and what are the rules about us doing a rehab on our property.
Okay. good one.
sure. So just,
Get your hammer.
No, I mean, we have
No, no.
amendments.
you can email them to either me or Go Global Realty's email, either one. We'll get lost in his.
But we'll also get it done like a couple of days. We'll let you know when the next meeting is gonna be in September, because I have to work out my schedule.
Maureen, you have a question?
Very good. Someone can watch the screen for me. Thank you.
Yes. So what I want to ask is about the prepaid rent. We constantly have problem with that. So to my understanding, the prepaid rent supposed to be in a separate trust account. or is it with the deposit?
It's held in a liability account on the books, but it's still in the same bank account. It just won't post to the rental account until the rent hits. It's prepaid, so it's not showing as money in.
Hasn't been earned yet because you haven't passed the time that it's for.
Right, yes.
Yeah, so it's prepaid for the last month's rent, but we accidentally paid the owner with that money. So how do we
I
go
moved
about,
over.
what was that?
Now, Deirdre takes your side of the question. I have an opposite view of the question because of accounting things. Prepaid rent is rent that hasn't been earned. Now, could you release it to the tenant, to the owner? Yes, there's not a law that says you can't, but there's no law says that you can't hold it until it's earned.
Right.
And so when the tenant, and I've had this with poker players, break the lease or whatever, but they're supposed to get back their money for whatever reason the lease was broken. And
Then you have to get it back from the owner.
Here's a better example on a poker player, military, gets a
Yes.
transfer. They paid a whole year in advance, and 9 months into it, they get their transfer orders. The owner's already been paid.
he
And
doesn't have the money to give it back.
because he
Now
spent it.
I'm gonna be sued by the
If
tenant.
they're gonna sue, they're gonna sue everybody anyway.
Right, but I like to keep it where I don't have to worry about it. When that money is locked up in a trust account and being paid out correctly, then I don't have to worry about it because it's in there. But it doesn't mean what you're saying, Deirdre, is not incorrect.
Neither of you are wrong.
Right.
It's just different procedure.
Right.
So I
Well,
agree with you, Michael. I mean, I don't want it paid to the owner until that time comes. But if I've been watching it and I don't know, my gut feeling said that it was gonna accidentally paid. Sure enough, it was accidentally paid to the owner. And then this month we hold back rent, so we didn't pay her. And she played dumb and she's like, where's my rent? And I told her, well, we paid you 2 months already last month. So how do we go about preventing that issue again?
Stop your owners from being idiots.
Yeah, that's.
Tell your owners you got it last month, let me forward the statement to you so that you can see you got it last
Here's a
month.
reminder.
I really.
Well, she did that,
appreciate
the
the
tenant
phone call.
still, and the owner's still playing, because I know her owners. They're still playing like, oh, I got paid the right amount last month because I got it. Now where's my money this month? I know what they're doing.
Correct.
This
And
whole
that's
thing
why I
about
want to
Lori
very
looking
careful.
over things and approving it's supposed to solve that?
Yes,
And then you're gonna
did you
see,
hear that, Lorraine?
No, I did not.
The whole idea is why I want you to approve the
Disbursement.
disbursement is so that you catch that. Okay, it's not Lori's job to catch it, it is your job. You said you were worried about it. So when you did that, when the disbursement was done to be paid to your owner, you're the one that controls the release of that disbursement because Laura, you send it to Lori sends back your thing. If you guys, it doesn't
Okay.
balance, yeah.
No, I did point it out that, oh, make sure we don't pay the last month's rent out. But then it still gets sent. So according to Lori, it said that it won't be sent because it's prepaid rent. But I don't know how it happened. It was sent.
Okay, we'll have to look at that directly. Everybody else doesn't have to
But still,
care about that. We'll see what the issue is.
still, if you approve the disbursement and it's
Right.
sent in 2 months, it's on you.
Right.
No, I said that it's too much when I saw it. And I said, make sure we don't pay that last month's rent.
Then you need to put it right.
Did you
But
put
here's,
it in writing?
that's why you guys need to approve what's being dispersed in writing to Lori, so that this doesn't happen again.
Okay, I agree on that, but sometime on the statement, when I confirm with Lori, I'm always on the phone with her and I always email too. And I said, okay, Lori, this doesn't look right. We're paying too much. And then she would say, oh, don't worry. Once I hit to send to owner, it'll readjust.
But is that because of the way, City National Bank?
The
doubles up?
report.
no,
Okay,
Yeah, the
All
way
right.
the
Well,
report
look into
doesn't
it.
show.
Lorraine, we'll look into it and I'll get back to you probably towards the end of the week and figure out.
Lori
before
should
next month.
probably do less talking on the phone, discussing these things and more of it in writing.
yes,
sit in front of you.
which is what we're gonna do. But also, we gotta get out of the habit of calling it last month's rent. Correct, Michael? Because
There is no last month rent in the state of Nevada. It is first month's rent and security deposit, period.
Correct,
And any extra is prepaid rent,
Correct.
or security.
but the lease has place for last month's rent,
I know.
because it's flawed.
Thank you. That's because we're both on non-forms committee.
Okay,
All right, but
any-
does everybody understand? It's actually a good point to bring up, just to repeat, if you didn't hear where we're talking about that. There is no last month's rent. You can't take last month's rent. Okay, you can take pre-rent, meaning like prepaid rent. But you can't call it last month's rent.
But why would you do that? The statute says the most you can collect when they move in is 3 months plus the current month, which totals 4 months, right?
And
So why would you make any of a prepaid month? Make it all security deposit.
Yeah, maybe also.
Yeah, you can only take 3 months.
of security.
Well, if you're gonna collect 4 months, 1 month is the first month's rent and the other 3 are all security
Right,
deposit.
right. I
If
see
you're
what you're-
doing 4 months.
Right, that's what she said.
Especially the court dates being out so far. for next year.
Right, but there are some managers that have collected for the year or the entirety of the lease.
Which is
Yes.
fine, that's all
Then-
prepaid rent.
Yeah, then it's prepaid rent.
Correct.
But they also, when you do that, you care to collect security deposit. Okay?
And cleaning and heating
Yeah,
and whatever
whatever,
else.
Pet deposits,
Yeah.
pet
But
fees.
you have to be careful, you're only allowed to collect 3 months of security and first month's rent.
So the total amount you can collect initially is
4
4 months, and if that includes the pet, the cleaning,
Has to
the
be.
fee, it includes everything.
Guys,
Yeah,
there's one specific accounting issue. Do you want me to just talk to you guys about it after the call or now?
after,
Okay,
I don't wanna drag it on too long, unless, we'll address it. Anything else, anybody? I'm looking at the screen to see anybody's raising their hands. Okay, thank you very much,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
it, have a
Thank
great
you.
day, that's
can you keep me on for a second, Matt?
Yeah.
Thanks.